into where you can do a search. So like, I'll just go ahead and do that. So if I click on this search and type in MathFlash, what you're looking for is MathFlash from APH. And now I'm going to go ahead and open it, and we're going to kind of play a quick little game.
So hey Joe, just real quickly, if we weren't using this app, how might they enable the skill on their Alexa or their Google Home?
So on Google Home, it's a lot easier. You can say, ask Google Home to play MathFlash. On Alexa, you probably will want to do what I just did here and go to the skill store on your phone first and enable it. If you ask Alexa just to open MathFlash, you're probably going to get several games that aren't ours actually. So that's why I kind of want to demonstrate showing that actual, going to the skills and searching there.
Perfect. Thanks, Joe.
No problem. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hit Ask Alexa. That'll activate my microphone. Open MathFlash. Start. Three.
So right now we are still seeing the skills and games page, and we are not hearing Jaws. Should we be hearing Jaws right now?
No, you should only be hearing. Are you hearing Alexa?
No.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I'm not sure why. Can you hear voiceover there?
No. You might not have shared your sound. So when you share the device, you need to share your sound as well.
Can you hear it now?
Is it talking?
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Oh, that's weird.
You can try stop sharing.
Let's try stop sharing and sharing again here. Fun technical difficulties here.
Zoom.us system dialog mute button.
All right, we'll try that.
Application
And
system dialog.
since you have it on, I'm going to let everybody know I'm going to stop the chat so that no one can chat or we would be all hearing it.
Now can you hear voiceover?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. All right, now we're in business.
Double tap to open.
So I'm going to go back and redo that
switcher.
here. But what
Amazon
I want to share
Alexa.
first too
Active.
is when you launch the skill, it's going to ask you to do
Amazon Alexa.
You can actually say settings, or you can say start playing. So if you go into settings, you can actually adjust the difficulty. You can choose if you want to do addition, multiplication, subtraction, or division, or you can just kind of do a mix of all.
Ask
So we're
Alexa.
going to go ahead and restart
Tab
this here.
3
Hopefully
of
we'll get sound this
5.
time.
Alexa.
Open MathFlash.
Menu.
Math
But
Flash
speech
by
off.
The American Printing House. Let's see how many math problems you can get right. If you're ready, say Start to begin the game. Or you can say Settings to change the settings.
Start.
Let's begin. Good luck. 4 minus 1.
3.
Phenomenal. 7 plus 5.
9.
Oops-a-daisy.
I purposely get that wrong there.
7 plus 5.
12.
You're a math whiz. 4 divided by 1.
4.
Home run. 3 times 4.
12.
Way cool. 4 times 2.
8.
Sweet. You answered 5 out of 5 correctly. Goodbye.
So since I actually got that one correct that I first guessed wrong, it still counts as correct. It gives you up to 5 times to answer correctly. If you miss it all 5 times, then it would actually count that as incorrect. So that's
Joe, real quick, was it supposed to show us anything on the screen? Because it stayed on your Alexa skills and games. So not sure if there was supposed to be
no, there's no video or anything. So with this is kind of a weird thing that we have going because it's the Alexa app on the iPad. So it's just showing, technically with Alexa, since it's just a audio device normally, there's no video with this at all. So there's nothing to actually display visually.
That's okay. I just wanted people to know that it was behaving correctly. They shouldn't have been seeing anything on the screen.
Correct. So this would be fun for, say you have a kid that's got an Echo and they want to play with the MathFlash game, or they're learning their timetables. They could actually set this up and just sort of play with their actual device. I can't say the E word because that's what mine is called here. So the Alexa, they would actually be able to play that and have that on any device, and that includes even an iPad. So like as you saw here, you can do that with Amazon or even Google Home. Same thing, you can play that on an iPad or an actual physical Google Home. So that is a little bit about the skill. I mean, that's pretty basic. So we're gonna get a little bit more challenging. And let me turn speech back on.
Page 2 of Practice 2 MathRobot.
And we're going to go to what's called MathRobot.
Double tap to open.
An iPad-only app. It is actually quota eligible. You can buy it on the App Store for $4.99, and it is a pretty fun game. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at the interface here and open it.
Portrait. Blank answer.
System dialog.
Time. Info.
So now
button.
I'm kind of flicking across here. So I'm
Double
going to just
tap
click
1
on info, which is actually
button.
the settings button.
Low vision mode. Switch button. Off.
So we have a low vision mode here.
Negative answers. Switch button. Off.
We have negative answers. So that means
double tap to toggle setting.
If the answers, if you want to have negative answers be available, I have that off right now. We're just going to kind of try to keep the basic settings.
Tries. 5.
So this means how many tries do you get before it goes on to the next problem? Kind of similar to the MathFlash skill that you just saw.
Respeak problem. 20 seconds.
So this is a respeak problem. So basically, if you have a situation where somebody may miss the problem the first time and they're kind of like, what was that? And they're not maybe at the age where they can review the screen with their finger, it'll just repeat the question every so often. So you can set a number of seconds that you want that to happen.
Speech rate. 6.
So here is the speech rate of the actual game. So we got that at 6. That's pretty normal. So we'll just leave that alone.
Mode. Selected. Free.
So with this,
button.
you have 2 modes. So you have a free practice. Basically, that means there's no time. It's just going to throw and spit out problems at you. So I'm going to change this
drill.
over to drill.
Button. Selected. Drill.
Just to kind of show you what that's like here.
Drill.
So now,
heading.
with this,
time limit, 5 minutes.
You can set a time limit. So basically, what'll happen is with the drill, you can actually set how long you want that to go on for. So I could do a 20-minute drill, or I could do a 1-minute drill and see how many questions I get to.
Randomize. Switch button. Off.
So that's going to randomize your
double
questions.
Tap to operation. Selected. Plus. Button.
So these are what choices we get to choose. We have plus,
minus times divided by
division.
Button. Minimum 0. Maximum 12.
So this is the minimum and maximum number that someone could choose.
Feedback. Button. Heading.
So basically, I'm going to go just keep that at 0 and 12.
Negative answer. Low vision mode. Dismiss
right.
setting. Dismiss settings.
Dismiss this.
Blank answer.
0.
Play a game here. So as you heard there, it actually spoke, but VoiceOver sort of cut it off. I'm going to show you kind of how to stop that from happening.
Characters.
So
vertical nav
rotor,
container. Audio
I'm just moving
ducking.
my fingers clockwise.
Volume.
2 fingers.
Audio ducking.
So I'm going to turn audio ducking off.
Audio ducking. Off.
0 plus 0.
There we go. So now you hear VoiceOver or the actual robot kind of be louder here.
5.
So we got 0
8,
plus 0.
0.
So I'm going to go to the number pad here and just press 0.
0.
Enter.
Press enter.
Button.
How did you get to the number
0.
panel?
Let me congratulate you by making things harder. 0 plus 1.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
How did you get to the number pad?
So I took my finger and just moved down the screen. So the number pad kind of sits at the bottom portion of the screen. So if I'm up here, at the top of the screen, you're just going to hear like a bunch of blanks because there's nothing there. And as I move my finger down,
Blank answer.
I'm at the blank answer.
0 plus 1.
I can flick
Math.
left and actually see the drill.
Double tap to view blank 0 plus 1.
So this is 0
Math.
plus 1. And I just drag my finger down a little bit
5,
more,
2,
and we're on the number pad.
5, 2, 3.
So I'm going to just
3,
hit the wrong
0
answer
plus
here.
1.
Enter. Enter. Button.
3. Did you really think you could outdo me? 0 plus 1.
5.
5.
5.
9.
I'm just going to
Enter.
purposely wrong
Button.
a few times here.
5. I might as well downclock my circuits.
So one
0
thing
plus
to
1.
note, when you're entering numbers, you can just touch the number and lift up.
5.
So I can like
4.
4, lift up.
4.
It enters. Now for enter, though, just so you
Button.
don't accidentally hit it, you do have to double tap that.
4. It's not your fault humans are inferior. 0 plus 1.
8.
8.
Enter. Button.
8. Is that the best you've got?
And you
0
can-
plus 1.
You can turn off those comments if you want. So
8.
it's not actually saying
8.
stuff.
9.
If you
Enter.
so chose.
Button.
I'm just gonna go
8.
back to
Don't
time.
feel bad. I can found the best of them. 0 plus 2.
So now we chose answers, or we chose, it went on to another problem. And as you can tell here, it's actually just doing 0 plus 1, 0 plus 2. So we're actually going in order. So if I
2.
get this right,
2.
Enter. Button.
2. Remote pillow radio fish. Okay, you just fried my chip. 0 plus 3.
so now we're going in order. So that's where the randomize comes in handy. So, but this is actually really cool if you're working on like the times table. I can see that being very beneficial. So that kind of gives you an idea of how that works. So I think
0 plus 3.
and there you kind of heard the repeating. So audio ducking off is really the biggest thing you want to kind of memorize here because of the fact that if you don't turn audio ducking off, you will have situations where you're not going to hear the problem being spoken. So we're going to go home and I'm going to
Games full app switcher.
have any.
MathRobot. Active. Amazon Alexa.
So we don't hear
Active.
you well. We don't hear you well over Jaws. So when Jaws is talking, if you'll let it finish for us, then we'll hear you better. Or
Okay.
stop it from talking.
I gotcha. Yep. All right. So I went ahead and closed MathRobot so we didn't have any more problems with it speaking there. So now I'm going to go on to the next game, which is
Philo.
called Practice to Master
Double
Fractions.
tap to open.
All right, stop that. There we go. So basically what this is going to do is it's going to teach you how to input fractions. And I got to be honest, I was messing with this morning and I have really gotten bad on my fractions. But the really neat thing is when I was growing up, I think we did the fractions in the 8th grade, we started learning. I used an abacus and I used the fraction bars. And so it sort of felt to me like it was kind of old school. So I had like these little blocks on rows. I forget what they're actually called, but, and that's kind of how I learned. Like, so I had for like the 12,
Screen
like I had
dimmed.
12 of them, for example. And this actually kind
MathRobot.
of gives me a visual representation in a sense of how the fractions work. So I'm gonna kind of go into it and show you.
Practice to master fraction. Practice to master fractions. Practice to master fractions.
All right, so you heard it say the title there a few times. So we're gonna flick right.
Free practice.
So again, in
Button.
here we have free practice. This is where it's going to just give you any sort of problem it can on randomizing. So, you know, when you click on this, you never know what you're going to get. It's just basically to kind of challenge you. And then if we flick right again,
Drill. Button.
we have drills. So you can actually set a time limit and do more of a drill type situation.
Problem lists.
Now this is
Button.
where this app actually kind of becomes a little bit even cooler is from a TVI standpoint is say you have a student that is struggling with certain numbers or certain questions, you can come in here and you can actually make a list of problems that the student would see.
Drill results.
And then
Button.
here's where you would view the results.
Settings.
And of course we have
Button.
settings. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look quickly at settings just so you know what's in there. This app is free in the App Store. So this is actually, there's no cost at all for this app. So I'm going to go in here and double tap.
Settings. Select an operation. Now, always generate calculation problems with common denominators. Yes.
So you can change any of these to yes or no, and you just
Fraction and always
to change that you just double tap.
fraction answers need to be simplified. No.
So if you want simplified, and I learned that I really struggle on simplifying.
Denominators used in calculation problems are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, 15.
So here you can actually choose the numbers that you're going to see come up in the answers.
Allow mixed numbers to appear in calculation problems? Yes.
That's pretty.
Do not generate problems whose answers are improper fractions. On. For answers to be correct, improper fractions should be written as mixed numbers.
So we're just going to go ahead and
Audio
play with
ducking.
the basic settings here.
How many? Get show
I'm gonna
time.
just
Change.
go in here
Change.
'cause
Done. Done.
There's actually a lot of options here.
Practice to
But I wanted
master.
to show you that it's very customizable, and you can sort of tweak it however you want it. So I'm going to go ahead and go in just to kind of pretend that I am a student and a teacher kind of put lists together for me. I'm going to go in and do a saved fraction list that I have set up here.
Practice to master. Free
gonna go-
practice. Drill. Problem
The
lists.
problem list and double tap.
Problem lists.
I want to take a look at this just because I think this is actually really cool from a teacher standpoint.
My saved problems.
So this is
Actions available.
my saved problems, and how this list gets created is in that free practice mode. You can actually go in there, and any problem you see that you kind of like, oh, I struggle with this one, you can save it and it will come to this list here. So I went ahead and actually saved 3 problems, and I'm going to look at those right now.
Reorder my saved
So I'm
problem.
going to double tap on this.
What do you want to do? Begin practice. Begin drilling.
So
Button.
with this list I have created, I can either drill or just do free practice again, or we can go on down the list here.
Edit the list.
So I can
Button.
actually edit the order in the list, and I'm going to look at that in a second.
Rename the list.
We can also
Button.
rename this. So if, for example, you want to name it to a student's name, or whatever you would like, you can do that.
Delete the
You can
list.
also delete it.
Button. Share by email.
You can
Button.
also email that. I think that's really neat.
Cancel. But
And then you can
cancel.
cancel. So
Button.
we're going to
Share. Delete. Rename the list.
we're going to go back here
Edit the list. Button.
to edit and just take a look here. So now
My saved problem.
what you're going to see is the problems that I saved.
Problem 1. 3/8 plus 5/8 equals.
So that's the
Actions available.
first problem in the list. Now, if I just flick my finger down, because VoiceOver automatically takes you to the actions selection in your rotor, it will say this.
Move down.
So I can actually change the order here. So I'm going to go ahead and move that down.
Move below problem 2, 9, and 4/5 minus 9, and 2/5 equals.
So now
Problem 1, 9, and 4/5 minus 9, and 2/5 equals.
So when I do the test, that will be the first question I see. But let's just say I'm going to go ahead and move that one back down.
Move down. Move below problem 2, 3/8.
So now when I hit 1,
Problem 1, 3/8 plus 5/8 equals.
and so
Swipe up or down to
now I'm going to go ahead and get out of this.
reorder problem, reorder, new, done, new problem,
And
button.
real quick, if I click new problem, I can actually create my own fraction here and do kind of like my own question for a student if I wanted to. But I'm going to go ahead and skip that for today.
Done,
Click done.
button. Selected. My saved problems. Reorder my
So I'm going to double
selected.
tap here.
My saved problems. Delete the list. Share. Delete. Rename. Edit the list. Begin drilling. Begin practicing. Button.
I'm going to begin practicing because there's some cool stuff in here.
3/8 plus 5/8 equals answer. Blank.
Okay, so that is the question. And if you remember, that was actually the number one question that I had in the reordering situation. So that actually worked. So now if I were a student, I'm getting that lesson that I set up. So again, so I can flick left here.
Let's try this one.
So you get kind of the hint.
3/8.
Now I'm moving right.
Tap to edit. Plus. 5/8
I'm just flicking right.
equals. Answer, blank.
So here's where I'm going to enter.
Tap to edit.
Sorry about that. Here's where I'm going to enter an answer if I want to. There's also, I have hints on right now, so that's why it's getting a little, there's a little delay and tells it says like double tap to edit. I would suggest leaving that on for beginners, just so they have an idea, and it kind of clues them in maybe what they should do on an edit box and different sort of landmarks. So I'm going to go ahead and flick right again, though.
Undo changes. Button. Help. But skip. But help.
So
button.
What's kind of nice is in this begin, in this sort of free flow mode here, we can actually get help, and it's very detailed. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that real quick.
Keep the denominator 8 unchanged, and keep the denominator 8
So I'm going to start at the very top. So I'm just going to flick up here to the left.
Keep the denominator 8 unchanged, and add the numerators 3 and 5.
All right, that makes sense.
3 plus 5/8 equals. Hop back. Dimmed.
So you
button.
don't really necessarily do anything here, but you can click next.
Next. But next. Do the addition. 8/8.
Sorry, I'm going back up to the very top again.
Do the addition. Do the addition. 3 plus 5 equals 8. 8/8 equals. Hop back. But next. But next.
And we have one more tip here.
Simplify the fraction.
So again, where I struggle simplifying, it can walk me through that if I'm still learning that. So as I flick down,
3/8 plus 5/8 equals 8/8. Back. Button. Next. Dim.
There we go.
Button.
So basically that is sort of a quick tutorial on how you would actually do fractions. So if you're learning this, it's kind of giving you step-by-step instructions. Here's what you got to do to get the denominator, and you leave the denominator the same. You go over here and you add the denominator, and it walks you through that. It's really nice.
Done. Button.
So then when you get
3/8.
When you get to drilling, you would actually know how to do that. So now that we know sort of how that looks, we kind of figured out the answer there by the help. I'm going to go over here and
3/8.
This isn't cheating. I'm just showing you how this works.
Plus.
So I'm going to show you how to
equals.
enter the answer here. So
answer blank.
You're going to, so you
Tap
hear it say
edit.
answer blank. So I'm going to double tap on this.
Blank.
So now we get this
whole
new
number.
screen.
5/8 plus 3/8.
So you can actually see the problem here.
Plus 5/8 equals blank. Whole number.
So now
button.
we get to the first blank. So we see whole number.
Tap to edit.
So there's no whole number here.
Blank. Numerator. Button.
All right. So we got a numerator
Tap
here.
to edit.
So I'm going to double tap.
Text field. 3. 9.
And let's just say I forgot the problem. I've already double tapped on the numerator. I can kind of touch above the numpad. So same thing that we had in the MathRobot is the same thing here. So at the very bottom of the screen, this is in landscape, that was in portrait, but at the very bottom of the screen here, we have a number pad. You can touch that to enter the numbers. And then there's a done always on the right-hand side of the number pad. And above the number pad though, I can touch up here and I can actually get it to
5/8 plus 3/8.
So there we go. It's 3/8 plus 5/8. So I'm going to go ahead
2, 3, 8.
Go down here and press 8.
8. Done.
It's done.
8. 5 equal blank 8 blank reciprocal blank denominator.
So we have a blank
button.
denominator. I'm going to press
Text
8.
feed 3, 3, 8, 9, 8, 8, 5. Done.
Press done.
8. Denominator. Reciprocal. Cancel. Submit.
And this is how we would
button.
submit. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that.
Necklace comic nose toy. Okay, you just fried my chip. Let's try another one.
So you
9 and 4/5 minus 9.
There we go. So you kind of get the same sort of witty responses that you get in the MathRobot in a sense, just with fractions. So as you could see, now we've moved on to problem number 2 with this. So that kind of gives you a good indication what you can do with this app. I really like the making problems and doing problem lists for kids. And I think it's just a tool that would definitely have helped me out as a kid, as a blind kid. I struggle with math just because, teachers are always doing it on the board. And so any extra little thing that would have been there to assist me, I would have gladly taken. So That's a little bit
Practice
there
to
about practice to master fractions. And that
App
is,
switcher.
again, available in the App Store for free.
Closing Amazon.
So the final thing I want to get
Games.
into is CodeQuest. So CodeQuest is an app that's also free and is for the iPad only. So at the very end, I'll kind of go over the apps and what they're available on just because it's a little confusing. But CodeQuest is available on the iPad only, and it is free. And what it does is it teaches sequencing. So it's kind of getting you in the sort of the beginning stages of learning coding in a way. It's just more based on I would just call it sequencing. So what it is, basically, it's a game, and you have a mission to get back to the spaceship.
Screen dimmed.
There are I think 12 planets, and each planet has, I want to say, 6 levels. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this. Just to warn you, there is music part of this game. So if you download it for free and you launch it, you'll hear music. You also hear music in the levels. For this presentation, I turned the music off because it would be distracting. It's hard enough with voiceover, my voice, and I don't want to hit you with all a bunch of sound. So
NordVPN
go ahead
CodeQuest.
and launch this.
CodeQuest.
We're gonna start playing. I'm not sure how we're doing on time.
12:33
Okay,
p.m.
we're doing pretty good. All right.
CodeQuest.
So we're gonna go ahead and start playing here.
Play. Tap to play. Buckle up. It's time to take off. Tap here to get your assignment.
So we have the instructions here. It's kind of a fun little, here's your assignment.
Planet Kratos. Buckle up. It's
3, 2, 1.
Five new planets were discovered at the edge of the known universe by scientists from the Intergalactic Space Agency. You must now use the remote interface to your ZX5 computer to reach your ship and return home. Select a planet and start playing.
All right, so we have a list of planets on the screen. So if I flick down.
Planet Kratos. Completed 0 out of 6 levels. Stars received 0. Double tap to go to this planet.
So as you hear voiceover say, there's 6 levels to this planet. I believe there's 6 levels to every planet. Let me just flick one more down to verify.
Planet Helios. Completed 0 out of 6 levels.
Perfect.
Planet
All right.
Kratos.
So we're going to go to the first planet here and double tap.
Level 1. Your best performance is 0 steps. Stars received 0. Tap to go to this level.
We're going to go to the map.
Level 1. This is your ship's computer, ZX5. I need you to return to me so that we can fly back to our home. To reach the ship, count the steps you need to move, then move that many steps to the right.
So with this, the idea is that you're also, what we found in field testing this application is that it actually kind of taught some O&M skills, such as learning grid layout and also just kind of getting the spatial layout of things. So if I touch here on the top left.
This is your ship start level button. First. Planet Kratos.
The level is 1 rows and 5 columns. The astronaut is located at row 1 and column 1. The rocket ship is located at row 1, column 5. There is no alien in this level.
So this is kind of the easiest level here. So basically, I'm on row 1. The spaceship is at row 5. I just need to get him over there.
Empty.
But I can touch on the screen here.
Empty. Row 1, column 4.
I'm going to move.
Empty. Row 1, column 3.
So I'm moving left with my finger, and I'm kind of feeling the layout of this grid here.
Empty. Row 1, column 2.
I'm just going to drop my finger down a little bit. And there's nothing else there. So, so you could kind of feel that, there's just one long row. So at the very bottom of the screen,
up, down button, up button.
You get these sort of directional pad. So
down button.
You have up, down, left, and right.
Right button, erase button, erase all button, read commands button.
So I'm going to go ahead
erase
and
button.
Move my player right.
Right button.
So now if I touch up here.
Empty, row 1, column 3. Empty,
so I haven't
row
moved
1,
him yet because
column 2.
I haven't moved him yet because I haven't told him to move. But in my head, I would say, okay, he's at row 1, column 2. So I'm going to hit right again.
Right button.
So that would be 3. We're going to hit right again. 4 and 5.
Erase
so now,
button.
I just want to go ahead and read that just to make sure I'm right.
Erase all but read commands button. Help button. Play button.
Sounds good. I'm going to hit play.
You win. You took 4 steps.
And I win.
Your best
so
next
now,
level.
What I want to show
button.
you is how this progresses.
Walls cannot be walked through. Move right and down to reach the ship. Remember to count your steps before moving.
So we kind of get the same instructions, except now it's telling us about walls because they've actually added in some barriers that we cannot get through, and you have to sort of feel and figure out how to move your player to get to the spaceship.
Start level. Planet Kratos.
The level is 3 rows and 5 columns. The astronaut is located at row 1 and column 1. The rocket ship is located at row 3, column 5. There is no alien in this level.
Unbreakable. Empty. Row 1, column 2.
So I'm gonna
Astronaut. Row 1, column 1.
So there I am. So if I drop my finger down.
Unbreakable wall. Row 2, column 1.
Oh, there's a wall there, so I can't go just down.
Astronaut. Empty. Row 1, column 2. Unbreakable wall. Row 2, so column 2.
The wall is still there in column 2 and row 2.
Unbreakable wall. Empty. Row 2, column 5.
So I've drug my finger to the right and figured out that there's an empty spot on row 2, column 5.
Rocket ship. Row 3,
Aha.
column 5. Empty. Row 1,
I'm just going
column
back
5.
just to verify.
Empty. Row 1, column 2.
There we go. So now I know what I need to do here.
Right
so
button.
I'm going to hit right. Move me to 2, 3, 4, 5.
Down
now
button.
I'm going to hit down twice.
Right button. Erase. Read
And
commands button. Help button. Play button. You win. You took 6 steps. Your best performance is 6 steps. You got 3 stars.
So this is a really fun game to kind of teach sequencing and then also spatial awareness. And the other thing that's really neat, being totally blind myself, I didn't really actually explain that in the beginning. I have actually, so I'm playing on an iPad mini right now. I'll hold it up here. But one thing I have done in my testing is I actually played with an iPad Pro 12.9 screen size. And I was actually able to feel the difference in the screen and how much more real estate you get with a 12.9 versus, my iPad mini, which is like 7.9, I believe. So it was actually really awakening for me as a blind person that I could actually feel the difference in screen size and kind of understand that, okay, this is why sighted people like 12.9 inch screens. But it's a really fun game, and it's actually very, as you progress through the planets and progress through the levels, it gets more and more challenging. The most challenging thing that we introduce in this game, there is one level where you actually do see the loop, a loop command, which is of course involved with coding. So that's probably the closest you get to real coding in this game. This is more for sequencing and kind of teaching you to do and get around barriers and things. So this is actually free on the iPad. And just reviewing real quick, I want to kind of start at the beginning and let you know. So the MathFlash skill I demoed for Alexa is available on Alexa or Google Home. So those are skills, those are free. The second app that I showed you was MathRobot on the iPad. That is quota eligible.
Screen dimmed.
Or it's also $4.99. And then the third app, Master to Practice Fractions, is free, and that is available on iOS. And then this app, CodeQuest, is available only on the iPad, and that is free. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my share here, and we can actually open up the chat and get some questions here.
Okay, I have opened up the chat, so that means you are able to type questions about the different apps that were just shared with you and anything that you might have questions about also as a user who's using the screen without being able to see the screen. Do any of these function in Spanish?
As far as so you could change your iOS to Spanish, but the apps are not, they don't have any localization in them.
Another person has said they know MathRobot works with a Braille display. Does the fraction apps do that as well?
It does, actually. I was playing with that this morning on my Chameleon, and it works. You do have to, so what it'll do on a Braille display that is a little kind of frustrating, and I need to put this in as a ticket, is it brings up the keyboard. So you actually have to arrow and press on each number. So you can't actually like type in the number at this point, but hopefully that can change.
You have some people saying that they like the different sounds. Are you able to tell us the 4 different sounds that they make? We only heard 2.
Yeah, I could, let's see, how can we do that? Well, actually, so the sounds going up and down will be the same, and left and right are the same. There's actually no difference for like left versus right or up versus down.
Okay. Do you know if the fraction app can be set to read fractions differently, such as 3/4 instead of 3/4?
Currently, that is not. Basically, how it reads it right now is the only way that you can actually get it read to you. I don't know, that would be a good feature request. So I can actually take that back and put that in. I don't know if we're limited on iOS in that regard, but I will take that back to the team.
Okay. You need to own an Alexa or a Google Home to be able to use MathFlash, correct?
You either have to own an Alexa or Google Home, or if you have the app, so you can get the Amazon Alexa app that's free. And so kind of like what I was demoing here, and you can actually play and use any skill that is in the skill store on the iOS app or Android app. So you could kind of go at it one of 2 ways there.
So there is a free Alexa app that you can put on your device.
Yes. And you search for that in either the Play Store or App Store. It's called Amazon Alexa.
You have someone who's also suggesting directional words instead of sounds for O&M.
Okay.
And will the written instructions, are they available as to how to move around?
As far as like so you can go into settings and see like there's a help file there where it kind of demonstrates or walks you through scenarios. But as far as like getting like an actual Braille copy of the instructions, there's not really a way I would know how to do that unless you copy them out and put them in like an editor and print them out yourself. I wouldn't know of a way to show those in Braille, or a refreshable Braille display, of course. You can hook that up and read.
Someone else is saying that it would be helpful to have students practice entering fractions on the Braille keyboard in the Fractions app.
Definitely, I agree. That was actually a frustration of mine, and because I was going to demonstrate that with the refreshable Braille display, but because you couldn't enter numbers, I was like, well, this is just more work than it's worth.
Can you use the Amazon Fire tablet, do you know?
For the skills, yes. So with the Fire 8, Fire 10, and I think the Fire 7 that's out, as long as it has Alexa capability, you can actually use the tablets and play the skills as well.
So the next question is, how do we download the CodeQuest app? How do we get access to that? That's
a good question. So if you go to, on an iPad, if you go into the App Store, and at the very bottom right-hand side, there's a search tab. Just double tap on that. And there's a search box. Then at the top left, you would just type in CodeQuest and click search. And it will actually be on my App Store, it was the first one listed. It'll say CodeQuest, and then under the developer, it'll say American Printing House for the Blind. And then you could just press get, and that'll download it. Since it's free, there's no, you don't have to have a card or anything like that. No payment.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions in.
Hey, Joe, can you talk a little bit about the manipulatives and the grids that can be embossed? I noticed that the grids are now on the download site, so that got changed from our discussion from today to yesterday, I think.
Yeah, sure. So on the APH website, if you do a search for CodeQuest, that will bring you to the CodeQuest page. And we can drop that link in the chat here as well, I think, Sully. Is that, can we do
Yep.
that? Okay, I want to lie to people.
I just did that. Good Lord.
Awesome, awesome. So basically, what this is if you, so there's two things to this. So there's manipulatives that are 3D printable. So if you have a 3D printer, you can print them out. Also, so that would be like the rocket ship. There are certain other, like the alien that you would print like a little figurine out. But there are embossable files that you could actually print off like the grids and sort of feel those. So there are STL files for the 3D printers, and then there's actual Braille files for the embossers. And you can print those off. In field testing, we did send out the manipulatives with the game, and what they found out, what teachers kind of found out, is that students just preferred using the iPad. So that's why we kind of made it an optional thing, and it also keeps the cost at free. So it's kind of a nice thing there. So
You just had someone comment that they're not sure about the fraction app, but they were able to input Braille when they changed to 8-dot when using MathRobot.
Yeah, that's probably, that could be my problem. I stay at contracted usually, so that I didn't even mess with that. So that thank you.
And they were using it with MathRobot.
Perfect.
All right, and so again, just clarifying that those grids are in a BRF file format. So you would be able to pull those up. And again, the idea behind those manipulatives and the grids would be to sort of work those things out tactily with the kids prior to maybe using the app, so they can, in much the same way that you might walk through a route with a student verbally, or using some other tools before you started using the app itself, so you could then transfer the concepts from something that was very concrete then to something over to the app.
Yeah, and I think being a child, I mean, I didn't grow up obviously with touchscreens. Those came way later in my life. But being a child, I think seeing the manipulative first and kind of putting some texture, some sort of visual element to what you're feeling on the screen would probably be a good start. So if your kiddo is struggling with kind of learning the touchscreen, maybe emboss a few of those grids out and kind of give them an idea of like, hey, this is what you're actually looking at on the screen. So that might help them pick up the concept.
I am not seeing any other questions coming in. Paul, did you have any end components that you needed?
Sure, yes. 1 second. I'll go ahead and share the screen again.
And you are getting people saying that for each of the APH products that are free or quoted, can it be downloaded to school and home equipment, or do they need to do that individually that are free?
For free, you could put it on anything, because there would be no limit for the Apple ID. For the quota, it's going to be on whatever device you buy it from with your school system. So like if the kid had their own iPad at home, they would have to purchase that separately. There's not really a way that I know of to transfer ownership there. So
okay, thanks. Go for it, Paul.
Okay, so we're just going to review everything just to make sure everybody's clear on what exactly we've got. The MathFlash, we demonstrated the Alexa skill. There's also a Google Home action for that, and of course those are free. And here's MathRobot, $4.99 for that. On here it shows that it's available for all of iOS. I do believe Joe mentioned that it was just for the iPad. Is that correct, Joe?
That is correct.
Okay, so sorry about the error there. MathRobot is for iPad only. and it is quota eligible.
I'm sorry. There are, sorry about that. There are two, so it was originally released as iPad only, and now it just recently came out on iPhone as well. So it actually works on iOS. Sorry about
Okay.
that.
All right. Perfect. So we were right. So it is an iOS app for anybody can get it and use it. Practice to Master Fractions. That's another free app on iOS, on iPad, iPhone, iPod Touch. And finally, of course, CodeQuest that we just showed you for the iPad only. It's free as well. And we talked about those manipulatives and the files you can emboss. So hopefully this gives you a good idea of some of these apps that we have. And we certainly appreciate the opportunity to hear about them, Joe. I'm going to stop my screen share.
I appreciate it. Thank you all for coming in and being here today.
Definitely. It was great fun. Now I want to download the Starship app. And what was that one called again? Name it one more time for me. CodeQuest. I'll start coding on my own.
There you go.
Okay, well, I want to say thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Joe, for a fabulous session of the apps that our students can use. And I will let you guys have your afternoon back, and we will talk again later.